To today's live. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Happy Friday. This week has gone by very quickly. A lot has happened this week. It's the second week of the daily journal and it has been incredibly productive. I'm excited to share with you guys my learnings for yesterday. As always, if you guys are just tuning in, drop some fire in the comments. And if you guys are just tuning us catching this on the replay, #replay. Obviously, I'm supposed to go on at 7 o'clock. I had a meeting with my coach, our coach in the team, Coach Nam. Him and I, we work on all the clients together, and every Friday morning we meet to go through every single client and we discuss our opinions, our ideas. We challenge each other and we discuss what the best strategy for our clients are. And it's a bit of a hybrid session each of these Fridays. Half of it is talking about the clients, but half of it is also talking about our personal progression and personal growth. And I'm mentoring Nam on how he can be a better person and a better coach. And this journey to personal development, to be the best coach you can, it's not just about having the title or as a job as a coach, but being able to best equip yourself to help other people. You have to help yourself. And it's about learning how to be self-aware and learning how to apply critical thinking and look at the things that you could improve. And so a few of the things that we spoke about was how we can get better results for the clients. And why is it right now, a lot of the clients, I don't talk to the clients very often because Nam handles 90% of the day-to-day things, and the clients will book in, the ones with our top tier program, they'll book in a monthly call with me. But I might just talk to them once a month, but I'm able to build immense rapport. And at the end of each call, even when the ones where Nam is a part of, they're always expressing the gratitude and appreciation for how valuable the call is. And I remember talking to Nam a few months ago. I'm like, look, after these calls, do the clients ever tell you, hey, I'm so grateful for you for changing my life and having this impact? And he says, well, yeah, they say like the AC program is good and they're able to see benefits. But I'm like, have they ever said it about you? Or did they say it about the program? And he's like, well, they kind of just made general statements about the program. I'm like, okay, that's what we need to improve. That is the gauge on whether we're a good coach or not. It's the clients that decide on whether we're a good coach or not. If they are able to express that we've been able to make a meaningful impact in their lives, it means that we're moving the needle forward. We're doing the right thing. It's not about me. It's not what I think. It's not about what anyone else thinks. It's the person that you are helping. Ultimately, the client's results come first. And that's been a recurring theme of how we can build ourselves to be better coaches. And the theme of today's conversation was really like learning how to read between the lines. And, it's crazy because talking to Nam today, the patterns that I'm able to see is the clients might, for example, fall off or go through something difficult. Nam might have a hard time trying to get them on track, and he'll just get them to book in a call with me. And so the clients naturally start to associate that feeling like going to the principal's office. They feel like they're in trouble. Not only are they struggling with trying to tick things off, like people don't want to not tick things off on purpose, right? They've obviously invested a lot into the program because they want to be better, and they're struggling, and we're kind of grilling them and then making them book in a call with the big dog, just like they have to go to a principal's office. It creates a negative association and it makes them feel worse. And, the people are less likely to want to book in these calls because they just want to be told off of why they weren't doing what they were supposed to. And so I helped him see from that perspective. And it's funny because he automatically saw parallels in his job because he's also a part-time teacher. And that's what they were taught to do. If you can't deal with the students, send them to the principal's office. Send them to the principal's office. So you rob your mind of the ability and the muscle to apply critical thinking and solve problems and to understand. And, it's not a personal attack against anyone. This is just what growing feels like. And, for me, I had to learn. I told him, if it feels bad hearing what I'm telling you, like I'm not trying to hurt or offend you, I'm just delivering feedback. If it feels bad and you feel crap about yourself, think about how crap it feels for the other person to receive it. And I have to learn. I'm the type of guy that learns from my mistakes. I didn't even know about personal branding until like 6 years ago. And it was when I was working a corporate job. And the context in which I learned was I started a new job, a OneView. 3 weeks into it, I think it was like the weekend concert. And I drank until like 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning. I went to work and maybe I didn't drink that. I drank till like 3 or 4 in the morning. I went home, had a few hours sleep, and then I called in to go to work late. I said, hey, Jay, I'm actually got a headache. Can I come in a little bit later? He's like, sure, no problem. So I bought myself maybe like 2 or 3 hours. I came to work at 11 and I sat down and my eyes were glassy. And in my mind, I'm like, I probably smell like alcohol. So I'm like, Jay, can I get a mint? And he always has mint. So he gave me a mint. I worked that day, had a massive headache. It was extremely excruciatingly painful. It was one of the worst days of my life. And then Jay brought me into a meeting room and he said if he had reported me, I would have gotten fired because he knew that I was still somewhat drunk coming into work. And that was the first time I learned about personal brand. He's like, you need to work on your personal brand. It's how people associate with you. It's your characteristics and your traits, and that was the first time I heard of personal brand. I'm like, why do I need my personal brand? And I started to make mistakes, but like mistakes is part of growth. And every time I made a mistake, I became a little bit better. And so when I was delivering feedback to anyone, it's not a you thing. It's not like, I think it's what poor people, what's people with scarcity mindset and unsuccessful people think. They think that it has something to do with them or other people. That person is successful because they have those attributes or they are blessed with those skills. But we're just all people. And every trait or attribute that someone has, it was learned. People aren't born salespeople. They aren't born charismatic. They aren't born extroverts. It's the environment that have created and shifted them to become that person, to have that trait. So everything is learnable. And so when someone is able to accomplish something that you're not, it's what are they doing that you're not? How are they making decisions? And it's crazy because NAM has grown so much. And I think as coaches, part of the team, we all grow and we bounce off each other. And when we compare where we once were, it's ridiculous and it's hard to see that objectively when we're going through that, the journey. And Nam is an incredible coach. He's very self-aware and he's just needing to learn how to build that muscle to learn how to express himself, And as you learn to express yourself, you learn to have more of an opinion. Because I used to be intimidated. I used to be intimidated by other people who have more experiences than me, more life experiences, have done more things, have traveled and seen the world and they might not be the most book smart people, but they've just done more things and they're just more street smart. And I feel intimidated because I'm like, I have zero experience because I'm just cooped up at home playing games, not doing anything. I don't have an opportunity to apply critical thinking. And now over the last 3 years, I have detached myself from what it is I want to do. I just do the things that are uncomfortable. I've gone from coach to coach to coach, to mentor to mentor to mentor. It's allowed me exposure to different elements. And in a sense, it's that exposure to different elements has really helped with my anxiety as well, And like, I didn't know anxiety was a thing until, I don't know, maybe less than 10 years ago, where people started talking about anxiety. And then I started to look into it and I realized that when I was younger, I had feelings of that. It never took control because there was this, for me, I was a hyperactive kid. I had ADHD and I'd get in trouble all the time and I'd feel anxious all the time. I'd be worried about so many things and it would just occupy me. I wouldn't be able to sleep properly. And most of the things I was anxious about was like school and doing well. And, because I always got in trouble and I was always afraid of my dad like yelling and beating me. But I remember there was just a time, maybe when I was in year 11 and 12, where I just made this switch in my head where I'm like, well, I'm fucked either way, but I'd rather not have to stress about it. And it's just this feeling that allowed me to feel the tingles in my body and just let it go. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to let whatever happens. And over time, that process starts to get a little bit stronger and stronger. And so now when I have things that I'm uncertain about, I can just kind of just switch off and just be like, you know what? We're fucked either way. But I'd rather be happy about it. With Crunchy, when he first started getting like vomiting and stuff, Hang got so worried. She's like, oh, should we call the vet? Should we do this? Should we do that? I'm like, look, the likelihood of something actually seriously happening is very low, right? It's like maybe 1%, less than 1%. And so if I were to assume that he's okay, I would be right 99 times out of 100. But if I think the worst every single time, I'd be unhappy every single time, including the time that something does go wrong. So I'd just always be unhappy until that time comes. Cross that bridge when we get there. And you can only hope for the best, but you can't control what you can't control, because the feelings of anxiety is like a beast. It's like a monkey on your back. The more that you fuel it, the bigger it gets, the stronger it gets, and the more power it has over you. And it's going to take work. It's an internal battle. And I think we all internalize these things differently. But the reality is we need to learn to figure out a way to overcome it. And the way that it's helped me is I just think about, if I were to allocate my energy towards things that I can control, I can mitigate and reduce how shitty this feels. But if I continue to fuel that negativity and let it spiral down, and you can see it when people start to spiral down, when they start to explain to you their situation, and they're like, oh, it's so bad. This happened the other day, and then it led me to doing this, and I couldn't do that, and then blah, 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 blah. It just goes down to a spiral. So when I'm on these coaching calls or I'm talking to someone, I immediately stop them. I'm like, stop. Pause for a second. Let's kind of break things down one step at a time. You speak in a calm manner and get, okay, what's the issue? Okay, what can you do about the issue? Can you do anything about the issue? What have you done about it? Have you done it? You go through this logical step and you move through the anxiety. And so, for example, just a few weeks ago, started creating content, and my engagement was like at an all-time low. I was only getting maybe like 100 or 200 views per reel. And this is when I just, it was the first batch of content created with this coach. My engagement, my stories have come down. This is before I did the daily journals, and we weren't generating enough leads. And and I was on like 5 different discovery calls, and I couldn't close them. And so there was a part of me that was just like, there's a sinking feeling. It's like this shitty feeling, this sinking feeling, and how people would describe that feeling is like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not good enough. But I didn't think like that, because I've programmed my mind to think differently. And I didn't always think like this. Now, how I think of it is, what am I not doing? Then I have another friend, he's an online coach from Melbourne, and we talk all the time. Then I was asking, well, how did you do this month? And he's like, oh, I did really good this month. I did this much. And that just makes me so excited. I'm just like, okay, it's a do thing, not a me thing, right? It's what am I not doing? He's obviously doing something that I'm not doing. So now I look at him, I calibrate my senses to be like, this is the right thing that's working for him right now. This is the benchmark. How am I below the benchmark? What am I doing? And then I start to identify all these things I'm not doing. And now I move from hopelessness to overwhelm. And when you move from hopelessness to overwhelm just means that there's infinite possibilities and limited resources. And I just need to figure out what the best way forward is. But it doesn't mean that it's hopeless, that there's no way I can succeed. It's just, I'm just not doing something right. And that makes me feel good. And I've conditioned myself to think that way, because I have eliminated the option of failing or thinking about ever quitting. So I just don't think about that at all. And the truth is, you can have control over the way that you think, but it's muscle memory. It happens over time. Yesterday, I was actually talking to Hang about posture. Right? I'll see if I don't know if you guys can see this, but Hang used to cut hair, and when she used to cut hair, she would cut hair like this. How do I get it? Like, she would cut hair like this. Her back would be really, really curved, and that would be like really, really comfortable for her. And she would always sit down with like a slouch posture. And in her mind, that felt normal. It felt comfortable. And I used to sit like that. And I would say for the last 10 years, I sit with straight posture. I force myself, and the first time I sat with straight posture, I felt like this feels so uncomfortable. It requires so much effort to stand up straight and walk straight. It's not like with your chest out, but like, you're standing upright. And now I'm known as someone with good posture, and I never used to have good posture. But now when I think back, I can barely even remember what it felt like to sit like that. I've just conditioned my mind like that is not the way that I'm supposed to sit. So I've conditioned it through repetition. And I've also conditioned that the way that I think. I used to give up all the time, but I don't anymore. So I share this with you. That it doesn't matter what mental hurdle that you have. It's easier to hide behind these terms and allow to have more power over us. Because like I said, it's like a beast on your back, a monkey on your back that gets bigger the more that you feed it. And so if you allow it to give more power and be because of my anxiety, I can't think like this. Because of this, I can't do that. Because of this, I can't do it. Now the problem becomes even bigger. It's bigger than it is. It went from just a feeling to something that actually is debilitating you, that is making you feel weak and preventing you from actually being able to move forward. You've just given it more power by just describing it. And the thing is, when we have a feeling, we describe it using the words that we know. Now, most of us, we think in words, right? Some of us think in images, but most of us, I think that you think in words, right? And the words that you know are based on your experiences. And so you can't even fully, truly 100% communicate how you feel. You have a feeling, you use the words that you know to describe it. It's a rough estimation or a rough description, and you communicate to someone. They hear those words based on their experiences and their past, triggers certain responses in their nervous system. So if someone says something that like, I hate you, right? And they hear the words and like, I hate you. They access their mind based on their experiences, what that means to them, and that triggers certain feelings. And so words become things, thoughts become things. And so if you feel this feeling, this sinking feeling, and you describe it a certain way, it's going to trigger even more feelings. So for example, I feel that nervousness and excitement are the same feeling. So I used to be terrible at oral presentations and speaking in public, and I used to be nervous. I'm so nervous. And now when I say the word I'm so nervous, it starts to trigger certain responses in my mind, based on my nervous system, my experiences. When I have nervous and I start to shake and I start to close off and I start to worry about what people think, and it starts to spiral down. But I just had this one day where I just flipped this switch. I'm like, you know what? Nervousness is excitement, because it means that I'm doing something that's outside my comfort zone. And if I'm always doing things that's inside my comfort zone, I'd never feel this way. So I'm excited. And as soon as I said I'm excited, I'm hype. As soon as I'm hype, it changes the way that I speak. It changes my energy. And based on my experiences, when you think about when you're hype, you start to react in a certain way. So all that can be reprogrammed. And it comes down to your belief systems. You know, and I think that's how you can become more meaningful as people to help others, is understanding the beliefs that have caused people to think in a certain way, because your beliefs, based on your experiences, based on your parents, based on your past, based on everything that you've been through, and your values will govern your actions. And if you can change the underlying belief, for example, people fall off track and they lose motivation because they don't get results, because they don't have the belief that they can succeed. They don't have the belief that what they're doing is actually working, or they don't have the belief that what they're doing is the most efficient way to get there. So they're like, well, what's the point of even doing this? So when we want to help someone, like a family or a friend, it's really about getting to the underlying belief that allows them to think in that way and helping them shift and break that belief. And so yesterday I had a conversation with one of my clients, and he recently had a head injury from like an altercation. He was concussed for a little bit, and you know, he's back on track now, and he was still making progress. He's been losing a lot of weight. I think I actually might post his transformation on my story, bit of an update on him. Doing well, but he's only just gotten back on track over the last few days, and you know, he's getting some momentum again, which is good. He's in good spirits, and he's actually going to be seeing like a psychologist for mental health, because as he was going through it, it was really tough for him to get through, and he was going through a lot of like health anxieties and stuff. And we have another client in our community. She recently like tripped over, I think, and she hurt her ankle, and she went to a physical therapist, and they're like, well, it might not heal on its own. She might have to have surgery. And then she made this post because she made this post just sharing how she felt. And she started to spiral down. She's starting to panic, and she's feeling really uncertain. And she's sharing about how when she walks by this park, she thinks about all the time she's been able to walk there with her dad and stuff like that. And she's asking for some advice if anyone's kind of been through it. And just to share a bit of context before I share what I think, I've had some serious injuries before. I've had moments where I thought I was going to die. You know, I was so drunk years ago. I woke up in the middle of the street at like 3 a.m. probably, and I was literally just lying on the ground on the road. I somehow woke up, tried to get myself up the hill to my house, and then I fell back and I hit my head. You know, and I had a internal brain hemorrhage, and I needed to get like some CT scans to determine whether they need a drill my head to release the pressure. Fortunately, they didn't, but during those moments, you kind of think about life and how fragile life really is. I've been injured many times with my training, but it doesn't bother me as much anymore. Like someone like Nam, he didn't get a lot of injuries, and now he's starting to get injured. It starts to demotivate him a little bit. Hang's also sustaining some injuries, and we have injuries in the program, and people feel disheartened, but I don't. And it's not because I'm special. It's because I've been through it so many times. And when you react negatively towards these injuries and you allow it to become bigger than it is, for example, if you just hurt your hand, well, you can still train the rest of your body. But then if you use that as a reason why you feel shit, and then you eat like shit, and then you feel even more shit, then you realize that broken hand affected so much more than just your hand. It affected your whole entire body because you gained weight out of it and you spiraled down. You start to have all these bad habits. You just gave it more power, and at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. And when I have these injuries, I think about all the times I'm filled with gratitude. I think about all the times that things went well. I'm so grateful that I've been able to run and walk and move my body as I please for my whole entire life. And in exchange for a couple of weeks of just being sore and not being able to move 100%, that's a pretty good deal. There are people that are not born with the capability to even walk. They might not have all hands and all limbs. They might have some kind of disease that prevents them from being able to, like muscular dystrophy or osteoporosis, something like that, or arthritis, and they're living their life in constant pain, or they have to live in a wheelchair. Like, it's such a small problem to deal with. That's like, oh no, you can't train as hard as you want, but you can walk, you can still do everything else. It kind of puts into perspective. And I feel so much better because it comes down to expectations. And when these injuries happen, well, you can't cry over spilt milk. Feeling bad about it doesn't make you feel any better. Like, people can develop illnesses from just being depressed. So it's really about learning how to change the way that you think to the best of your ability to help move you forward and through the problem, right? And so with one of my clients, I told him, like, these things can happen, and it just reminds you of how beautiful life is. The life is limited, that you can do the best to prevent all these things, but it can just happen. A family or a loved one can just disappear overnight without any warning. God forbid it's like a car accident or something just out of nowhere that no one expects. It can just happen, but it makes you appreciate every single moment. And because he's okay now, what if this was the turning point that made him value and appreciate life even more? And that allowed him to be more cautious, which in a sense is a good thing. He has a different mindset. He's more risk adverse. And this is a part of growing up. And so the moral here is, there's so many things in your life that you can't control. Stop trying to govern the things that you can't control and complaining about it, because you just can't control it. It's like a dog barking at a wall. That's what we're doing. So I would rather allocate my energy towards the things that I can control. If I feel like I'm in a hole, instead of complaining that the hole exists, because the hole just exists, I think about, how do I get myself out of this hole? So that's the kind of the mindset that I've been adopting over the last few years. And when things are tough, I don't even remember a time where I think about what would like to be give up, or is it just a me thing. I just think, okay, what am I not doing? What do I need to do to get out of this? What's the next thing that I need to do? And I go out and I do it. And that's the cost of growth. Less of the mindset stuff. Yesterday, we spent about 2 or 3 hours as a team exploring the capabilities of the new app. I'm so excited for this new app, and it's very overwhelming learning how to use a new app as well. And this is what I go through. I have all these documents that I need to write up for the modules. And when I was working a low rung job, volume meant productivity. So the more emails you sent, the more productive that you were, the more work that you did. But when you're actually doing things that, quote, matter, that move the needle forward, sometimes things don't need to be typed. It could just be like you having a better sense of direction of where you need to go. And right now, when we're building our modules for the low ticket offer, we're already starting to get interest for the offer, which is great because the value of the offer is so low. It's 89 US, and it's going to encompass everything. And I really want to make it absolute like a rock star. As soon as you come in, it's super clear, it's easy to follow, it makes sense, it shifts your beliefs, it shows you the power and capability of being able to focus on your personal development. I really want to encapsulate everything. So I'm actually constantly moving the modules around and how to structure, how to organize it, the order, and that's really difficult. And one of the components that I needed to work on was understanding how to use the app. And so I spent yesterday morning on a Wednesday putting through my workout, the workout that my coach has me on an Excel spreadsheet, putting that into the new app, and I'm going to use this app. And because the app is so good, I actually get to put in all my daily habits every single day, including when I go live as well. And I can just go through and I tick it off, and it becomes an actual app that I enjoy using. And if it's something I enjoy using, I would be very happy to kind of help others be in alignment with my view versus just asking them to use an app that I don't personally use. So with our previous white labeled app, TrainerWise, I used it when I had one of my coaches a few years ago, and I just didn't really like using that app. I felt like it was a bit of a chore to use, but the new one, really enjoy using it. It's super easy to use, and we're trying to figure out all the capabilities of what's possible so we can maximize it. And then I'm going to incorporate how to use it into the modules, like step by step on how to do this and how to click that, how you can access this. I really want this whole course to be self-sustaining. And I know like online, there are a lot of courses out there that really shouldn't be called courses, and they're really not that great. And people feel like it's a bit of a ripoff. You know, you pay for this course and you still don't know what to do. Like, I don't want it to be like that. You know, I feel like I have a different way of learning. It's a little bit more practical, and I think I can incorporate a lot of that into the module. So I'm excited to continue to build it. I have a little bit more direction today to kind of go through and make some adjustments. And I think we're ready to start filming the modules probably sometime next week. In terms of the content, we're getting feedback back. You know, some of the videos are doing, like my videos on my reels on Instagram are actually starting to pick up now, which is actually really good. You know, just 2 weeks ago, we thought that it was going to take, 15 to 30 videos. It hasn't like popped off yet, but on average, it's actually getting 1,000 to 2,000 views per video now. And, when I was uploading it like a week and a half ago, I was getting like 1 to 200. On TikTok, a few of them actually reached like 10,000. One of them reached like 30 something. So we're heading in the right direction. So we're getting feedback back, but results don't happen overnight. And it's about just being consistent, sticking to what works, and continuously iterating from what we are currently doing right now. So hopefully this has been an enjoyable journey for you guys over the last 12 days, going from 12 days ago, barely any engagement, and now we're starting to pick up. It's just all about consistency, progressing, reflecting. And I feel like me being on these lives have also, even if my clients don't watch every day, I don't expect them to. That's a very big time commitment for anyone. But just the fact that I am, it gives me a bit more leverage to kind of guide them through what they need to do, and the importance of actually journaling themselves, because they are able to see what I'm able to do and progress. Hopefully it inspires them to actually do the same. So thought I'd share that. But otherwise, tomorrow we have a session with one of our clients. He's competing at the end of this year. We've got a training session. I'm not training. I'm just going to be coaching him and coaching him with posing. But yeah, that's what I've got on for this weekend. Continue to build the modules, continue to build the lead magnet. Every day I'm just chipping at it slowly. I'm on track to finish my performance nutrition certification. So that I'm excited for as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. Hopefully this has been helpful. Anxiety, depression, these are just things that you can allow to control you, but you can also learn to move forward from it as well. So hopefully that helps, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. Peace.